I'm your host, Jen Dushin, and here we have Taiza, who's going to go through a reading, a one question that she's going to ask. So, Taiza, are you ready?
I am ready.
And tell me, how do you feel?
Um, I'm excited and a little bit nervous, and mostly I'm just really excited because this question means a lot to me. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about it.
Excellent. And have you had readings before?
Yeah, I've had readings with you. I've had a few other Akashic readings, but the ones with you stand out the most. I would say there was one where it was like a uh, not one that you did, but it was another one I had. It was a group Akash. That one was powerful, but it was very different. You've done personal readings for me. One of the ones that you did was helping me get my own autonomy and my own sovereignty. And that has been an ongoing theme, like consistent theme in all of my life adventures since then. And it's been really fun to pursue like regaining that because it was not something I was born knowing much of.
Brilliant. I love it. That's so awesome.
It
It's
is. It
right.
is.
It's the best thing when you recognize that autonomy is something you actually have to work on. It's just not a given because we're born with it. We just don't even know it.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. Okay, so let's do this. I'm excited too. So, as you know, gonna relax you for a moment. There'll be silence, and then we'll move into your question. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so what's your question?
Okay. So my question is like how to help, like just with everything that's going on politically, there's so much upheaval. I'm really worried about the planet. Like the humpback whales or the blue whales are not singing as much. They're worried that the krill might be causing like ecosystem collapse. There's been talk about selling the US national forests, and I worry about the animals that call those home. Like it just, with so much going on, it feels like it's always the innocence of nature that pays. And it hurts my heart so much to think about that, the damage, the ecosystem damage, and like birds that are dying, and just like the fallout of even climate change, if it's happening, like what that means for the world and like all of the things that will die. And so I just wanted to know what the Akashic fields have that we can do, that can be said. I don't know. I don't know. The question is kind of open-ended and huge. But I need to know in like how to bring peace to my heart, knowing that there's suffering, like especially because nature is so innocent and it's like the wolves that get hunted can't do anything about it. And if the systems that protect them are dismantled, it terrifies me. So what guidance does the Akashic field have?
So that's a really good question, and I'm getting lots of information from the Akashic records, the Akashic Love Field. So the thing they're saying here is, no, your feeling for this situation is genuine, right? It's a real feeling, it's a real concern. However, interesting, they say, we just talked about being being autonomous. Oh, I've got so much going on in my head here and right now. Being autonomous. So, one of the things they're emphasizing here is when you position the earth as suffering. Now, we're not saying that there aren't beings in pain, experiences that aren't creating pain, but when you position the earth as a victim, that the earth is suffering, these creatures are suffering, you're basically upholding a, a scenario. a truth, right?
Mhm.
That becomes the truth. I'm
Okay.
declaring this as true. And so that's the truth you're holding. And so when you work with frequency, as we all do, right? We don't always know the the capacity of our frequency. We understand, you know, you understand the capacity of feeling pain, and you understand how much you don't want to feel pain. You don't want the world to suffer. You don't want those who don't have a voice to suffer. And yet, by positioning them as those who suffer, that need to be saved, you're doing two things. You are positioning them as the victim. So you're creating a scenario where they are uh, unable to help themselves, and therefore the every person in the world is responsible for what is happening to them, including you, right? And so what that does is it increases your sense of pain and your sense of lack of power. And that uh, the way that's being held then
Hmm.
reflects onto the earth, and it's sort of like demands that from the earth, right? Because you're creating a scenario, and there's a level of meeting, a vibrational meeting, because when we hold something to be true, then there's something there that has to respond to that as truth, even if it's not true. And so you are not the only person who feels like this, right? There are many, many people who look at the earth that needs to be saved, as if the earth is a victim of human action. The thing is, the small picture, and yes, there are creatures suffering, there are people suffering. So, from the lower perspective, it's not smaller in the sense of importance, it's just more immediate, is that everyone is suffering and they need to be saved. So, like, it kind of creates a sort of helpless structure of victims, and then who are the perpetrators. So it increases the energy of the binary. It becomes like a binary war, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
against, right? Can you see how that energy then
absolutely.
positions you in a place where you can't do anything because you are basically feeling the helplessness of this situation. My hands are tied. That's the expression I'm hearing. My hands are tied, right? I can't do anything. All these people, all these things, the earth is suffering. I can't do anything because there are these terrible people or whatever are doing stuff, right? So from the bigger picture, so in the lower or more obvious picture, yes, there is destruction. But to understand the power of the earth, that the earth does not need you, right? The earth does not need to be saved. It's a powerful, powerful being. And it lives regardless of how humans choose to behave. The earth will continue, or as long as it continues. But the smallness of what humans do, it's like a blip, you know, to the landmass, to the earth, to all of the things. When you begin to move away from the idea that your role is to save the earth, and you begin to recognize, what does the earth represent?
Like for me or for the bigger picture?
Yeah, what does the earth represent to you?
Well, it's now that you mention it, it makes sense that the earth has its own autonomy because we were just talking about how important autonomy and sovereignty are. So taking that away from the earth, well, it feels like the drama triangle construct. So it's like I'm first of all, it's taking any sentience away from Mother Nature, which obviously doesn't make sense because she knows.
Right.
And it's putting the drama triangle, like reanimating it in my relationship to the earth. And then the only way she can interact with me is through that triangle, because if that's what I'm setting up. So, and then there's also like like treating her as though she's not alive. I forget what that's called. Um, and it seems incredibly egotistical and like very human centric, which is, yeah, I can see how that's not supportive.
Right.
So, like, just bringing my attention that I'm reenacting old um, relationship structures that themselves are outdated.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm just doing that.
Right.
And that brings relief to my, like, I feel relief at that because then I'm not responsible. But it
Right.
doesn't mean I'm irresponsible either. It just means understanding that there are bigger things than just me and my perceptions at play.
Right. And the whole thing is how what are you sharing is what most people look at, right? That it's and it's what we've been taught. We've been taught that we're doing this destruction and that the earth is relying. We have all these phrases that go, we got to save the earth and it won't be protected. The earth will be protected because it protects itself as a sovereign being, and it has a longer term and a bigger picture. The reason why it feels scary is exactly what you're talking about. Your relationship, or any whoever's listening, for example, or me, my relationship with what I consider important to my survival and my flourishing,
Mm,
right? The earth
wow.
is our home. So we put all this energy on our home, our family, our our occupying the space we occupy. We're expecting the earth to save us. And our,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So our relationship with the earth is the relationship we have with many people, right? The relationship you have with people is the relationship you have with earth. You're saying, okay, well, this is my home. And look, the earth needs saving. I needed to save me. Of course, we're not, you're not saying this actually, but it's what's happening without, in the
Yeah.
unsaid halls. The earth is my home and I need it. Therefore, I needed to be safe so I survive, right? And when you remove yourself even from relationships you have from people in the past, right? Or your family members or whoever, uh, people in the town, people you've looked up to, all of these hierarchies of safety are, right? They are bringing up that inside of you that if they don't behave in the way I need them to, I am not safe.
It makes a lot of sense. It's like the new has to move through destruction. Like you can't give birth to a baby without it moving out through the world. And so it has to move through the womb, which is a destructive process. Hopefully not too destructive, but it can be.
Right.
But then the baby's born into the world. So it's like there's always destruction when there's reconstruction. Like it has to. Things have to change.
Of
So you
course.
can't maintain the hierarchy while expecting things to be different in the future. So that makes a lot of sense.
Right. You can't control the earth in order to feel safe. What the earth teaches us as our home, right, teaches us sovereignty. The earth teaches you that landmass, that cycles, that regeneration, all of these things happen. And things happen, right? A storm comes, like you said, there's destruction, there's breakdown, there's breakaways, there's families that break up, there are species that die, right? And it's sad to us, but the earth doesn't have the luxury of going, okay, I'm going to crawl away and pull away and take my landmass away from humans, right? It has its own way of mourning, and the mourning is, and all these cycles are what teach you and us as humans how to live on the earth. The truth is in the earth, right? Because it it's embodied like our bodies. That's the part we struggle with. So we learn through the earth by not what's the word? Uh, Infantilizing the earth. And we infantilize the earth. Oh, this poor earth can't get by without us. And we also infantilize a lot of other things in the world, right? Other people suffering. We're taking it on as if it's our suffering, as if they need to be safe so that we're safe, right? It's the same cycle with all these things, all the stuff that's going on in the world, all things that can shift when we take our autonomy back. So when you recognize the autonomy of the earth, you then recognize your own autonomy. When you recognize your own responsibility, that means you take responsibility for your actions, right? So if you care about the earth, for example, I'm not saying you do it, you do any of this, it's just an example. So somebody says, yeah, I really care about the earth. Then they go out and they buy a lot of things made of plastic or something like that. And then they throw it in the garbage and go, well, okay, the earth, well, I don't really have to think about that, right? Then you have to decide as the person, if that's the thing you're doing, does this feel like, am I doing my part for what I believe in? This is my home, my sacred home. Do I want to defile my sacred home? Right? So again, it comes back to personal responsibility. It isn't putting any responsibility on the earth. Oh, earth, you need to make those people behave, right? Or I need to go and get them to behave. Like that won't work, right? So it's taking personal responsibility for your own autonomy and using the earth to recognize, okay, this is my home. I need to take observation of how the earth is autonomous. And there's so many ways we can see how the earth is autonomous. It finds ways to overcome our the limitation we try to put on it. So we try to control the earth and, dig in the earth and get out all the treasures and whatever, whatever. And then boom, a storm comes, a hurricane comes, and then, the earth reclaims that land. Sometimes people go out into some areas and they make highways and then they come back the next year and it's all covered in trees, right? That's the autonomous earth. So how you can support the earth, not just by being aware of your own autonomy, is by recognizing and seeing her as an autonomous being who knows how to behave, right? Knows how to put humans and things in their place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, do you have a further question in terms of that? Like, how does this come back to you in terms of, what we talked about, or what's the thing that you fear that causes
Well,
or caused this question?
well, this is the earth has her own soul and her own desires and her own growth of evolution. And it's not necessarily what humans can conceive of because she's not limited. She has a much longer lifespan than we do, much longer lifespan than we have. And it's just like I wouldn't put my if I lived in a like the 1200s, right? It's feudal society with a monarch, I wouldn't put my if I was a peasant, I wouldn't project on the king and queen. Like I might complain about them, but like I wouldn't. And so like in respecting her sovereignty, like that's sovereignty, right? Like that level of authority of being.
Right.
So if we all have that, it looks very different than a feudal society. But like I don't want to add to the Earth's difficulty by having a toxic relationship with her energetically on top of everything else. So the idea of making her like taking away her soul and making her like seeing her as an inanimate object is a type of objectification, which nobody likes. Like, and so like what I'm hearing is that I really need to go through and check how I'm seeing the earth, how I'm seeing the whales, how I'm seeing like the wolves and like other beings that I'm worried about. And like there's a difference like when you're not trying to save somebody, when you're not in that rescuer mode, like when you put yourself in the drama triangle, so there's the villain, the victim, and the rescuer, or however the wording comes up for that. Like nobody ever wins. There's no winners. It just moves like you just keep cycling through a triangle. And in a lot of like mystical traditions, you use a triangle to keep something stuck. So putting Mother Earth in that type of frame of mind with my own creative capacity is a hindrance to her being who she is. If I have any power over Mother Earth energetically, that actually would make it all the more that she has to work through. Like I just become resistance to her instead of actually aiding her.
Right.
So
Right.
like what I'm really feeling is that I need to check in with my relationship to her and stop the toxic patterns first. Like that's the first thing.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we have fears. So your fear is safety, right? Which is very natural. You want to be safe. You want to create safety. And the earth represents the
Yeah,
safety.
but it's not just safety, it's that I love the earth. Like
Yeah, right.
the earth will exist after I'm gone. I know that. I know that
Right.
I'm
Right.
finite and will end one day. But I hate the idea that damage could cause a loss of the beauty that I love so much on Mother
Right.
Earth.
But you see, here is where you again are assuming responsibility for something that is not your responsibility.
And that's where I need to go through. Like that's a
Right.
self-check. Like that's gonna take a lot more introspection than just in like I'll probably re-listen to this a few times because it's gonna take a while for it to really like penetrate through all the layers of whatever's going on in me right now. So
Right.
I'm gonna have to sit with it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? The whole point is the premise that you have lived with, that many of us have lived with, is this idea that some people, and if you can talk back to the triangle, right? The triangle of drama, some people want to hurt the earth, and I love the earth and I want to save the earth. And then the earth then becomes this uh, component of battle, right? I'm battling to save the earth, they're battling to destroy the earth. And so there's a lot of energy that is going across from from one group to the other and kind of using the earth as a way of going, well, I'm pissed off with you because you're hurting something I care about. And uh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to recognize and shift away from. But I think the and what I'm hearing, what the record keepers say, and I know for me, I went through all of this before, right? So I'm in conversation and asking these questions and recognizing the autonomy of everyone, not just the earth, the autonomy of the ones that you might point to. And find fault with, that they are doing this or that they are changing. But ultimately, the beauty that the earth reflects and holds is an energetic thing that will never change. So you could come another time and it will look different. But the essence of the energy of creativity is beauty, because beauty is what inspires us. Beauty is what holds us. Beauty is what carries us and allows us to go through terrible things and amazing things, right? So this is an element that the earth holds that is available. So we begin to understand that, just like you mentioned, that all of our things, even now as we battle each other, there is a place that we get to if we choose of self autonomy that is rooted in integrity, right? When you are who you are in the face of whatever there is, right? Nothing.
That's the essence. Like
Right,
when you are
right.
whoever you are in the face of whatever that is, that's the real essence of autonomy.
Exactly. And that's where we are not as a collective. So, in order for us, for all this craziness to stop, we have to be in that place where we know who we are and we stand for it. So we don't just let it slide by. We don't just get indignant behind a screen, but we're actually standing for what we believe in. And that's what the earth does. That's what the earth teaches us. That's the truth of our experience, that we can change the energy very quickly when we're not focused on what's going wrong, but we're focused on what is true and how do I reflect what is true in me out into the world. And it isn't for other people, it's to show the universe, right? Right. This is the energy I'm just like the earth does. The earth doesn't care if you're there or you're not there. It's not doing things for us. It's doing things for itself, given its experience, right? And that's what we have to do. We have to be our truth, live our truth, and express it. And what they're saying here, which is the next level, is when we are. There is one thing about being in truth that we don't have when we get very emotional. Because when we're emotional, not that we don't shouldn't have feelings and feel compassion and open heart and connected, but if we're emotional in the sense of being trapped in a belief,
Mhm.
right? Then when we're in that place, sorry, what you're saying,
I said, wow, yeah.
right? Then that's not truth. That's what do you call it? A reaction.
That just means that you're stuck in the hierarchies of safety. Like that's the feedback loop. That's the emotional output when you're in that hierarchy for safety situation.
Right. So all of these things are all conditional things that have been put upon us so that we'll behave in a certain way. And when we behave in these ways and we reactive and emotional to an idea that's not even true, we are easily led and we easily fall. And we easily become the fodder of destruction, right?
That's what I don't want to be.
Right. And so, I say the simple way, of course, it takes thought and it also takes opening up your mind to a different way of being and your body and how you approach all of these things. not from a knee-jerk reaction, but from truth. That in order to be autonomous, we have to see the autonomy of another, regardless whether we like them, whether we think they, evil or bad or terrible or good or sacred. When we see their autonomy that is separate from us and we recognize they are choosing something, when we recognize that, and we may not agree with it, we may have a different stand, but if we stand with what our truth is, but we're not trying to lean over to persuade or or shame or whatever it is, we have the greatest power, and we can't become fodder for destruction. Right? Then we become the connecting lines to spread more light, to spread more truth, to uphold the structure that we desire to live with and live in.
That was a lot. Like, I love this. I am definitely going to revisit this because that was, it's going to take a while to digest all the information that you brought up. It's a lot.
It is. We're going to do a little bit of healing here just for a moment, just to help
Cool.
the lobe, frontal lobe, the lobes in your brain, just to relax and open. And of course, this will be useful for anyone who's listening or watching. So you can just relax, close your eyes. Leonini nakamane. Hareniki, Yona, Yona, Ina, 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 Ina. Yanina Manina Ina Kia Ina Hello, taste again.
Gonna need a nap.
How does that feel?
I've had a really heavy thing right here. So when you said something about my lobe, I was like, yeah, well. And it definitely feels lighter, and I have a feeling that it will continue to lighten.
Yeah, yeah. Having a nap sounds good. And just after the nap, even then, just staying in this kind of energy, right? In the lighter energy. Don't start doing things or going looking at things that are going to um
Don't doom scroll.
Yeah, don't doom scroll.
Got
Exactly.
it.
Do something fun that feels light. Like, you want to set the pattern in you of this, this is the line, right? This is the line of truth. This is the energy where you want to play around and play in and enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good.
All right, so let me close your records.
Okay.
So I
Thank
just,
you, by the way.
oh, you're so welcome. Okay, records are closed. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That was so good, and I appreciate it. And I hope it helps other people who have that same concern.
Yeah, it's really good to ask some of these questions that can take up a lot of our energy. So, yeah.
Yeah, it can. Like you think you're doing something good, and all you're doing is creating more static and resistance.
I know, it's so wild, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So thank you for listening, being here, and till I see you next time.
Thanks, Jen.
You're so welcome.